Hi, my name is Jacob Phillips. I'm the head freshman coach at Centennial High School in Gresham, Oregon. I've been coaching for about 8 years, and I'd like to talk about the VEER. That's something our program is known for around the area in Oregon, and we think is an excellent play. And so I wanted to start doing some videos by talking about the VEER. My hope is to expand this, make this a YouTube channel, make this a place where coaches can interact, and I can get to know some of you, and we can all learn from each other. And so I'm hoping to start here with this series on the VEER. We really like the VEER because we think it's the original RPO, and the reason we say that is because we are going to isolate a defender and we're going to make him wrong no matter what he does, which is what RPOs do as well. Now RPOs have the benefit of kind of stretching the field and that kind of thing, but we think that this is a very effective play, and we're able to isolate some of the best defenders and make them wrong, and therefore take them out of the play. Now we run a true VEER, and what I want to say by a true VEER is that some teams will run say a zone scheme, and then they will backside, maybe have the quarterback pull it, and then option someone, either another back or a receiver in motion, and option that way. But that's more of a zone complementary play, because the offensive line is blocking zone front side, and then backside they're maybe trying to option off of that. By VEER, we're going to try to have everyone cut off backside that play, and we're going to isolate two defenders on one side. So everyone is going to be trying to cut off everyone backside as opposed to simply running zone that side. We think it's better because, again, you're trying to cut off all the defense flowing to the VEER rather than running zone one side and then taking a quarterback and trying to pitch off it on the other side. But we run, again, the triple option, the VEER, and we think it's an excellent play. Well, first I want to talk about sort of the personnel, the type of people that we're looking for in this, kind of draw up our formation that we run out of, and kind of use future videos to explain some of the complementary plays, how we block versus different defenses, but I just want to talk about sort of the basics for right now. So what I'm going to do here is write a basic formation for us. And in our parlance, this is called an A formation. So A means we're going to have our tight end to the right side. Go ahead and make this guy tight end. Of our Z off the ball to the right, and our X on the ball to the left. So this would just be A formation for us. And the first thing I want to talk about again is our personnel. So from the quarterback position, we're looking for someone who's got some good athleticism, some decent speed, and can cut the ball up quickly and gain yardage for us. Typically for us, it's been a guy who is not necessarily very tall. It can be a shorter guy. He tends to kind of get hidden in the line and can squirt out for large gains. He doesn't have to be able to throw super well. Of course the offense works a lot better when he does, but if he's able to read the VEER is really the biggest deal for us. Him being able to properly read those defenders is really huge. And so that's really the type of kid that we take is the kid who can read the VEER really well. So again, he doesn't have to be tall. But if he's tall, fast, and got a strong arm, obviously, that works really well. But we can get by with a shorter, quicker type of a kid. Fullback-wise, it's not going to be a traditional heavy bruiser. You actually want someone who's fairly quick. And the reason is, if they do not cancel the fullback, you want a guy who's going to be able to take that to the house. We also run trap, and so off of trap, that's a great play for him to go as well. So you actually would want someone who'd be someone who's a little quicker, someone who will attack. Oops, drop this eraser here. You want someone who will be quicker, someone who will attack the line of scrimmage quickly, and and can block as well, but they don't have to be a big, heavy bruiser. And if you need a heavy bruiser for certain plays, you can sub this guy out for someone who's really going to stick him in the mouth. We've occasionally subbed like a guard right there to run power, to run blast, and things of that nature. So that's the fullback. The tailback, you want someone who's a little bit quicker. In different formations, we'll use him as a receiver as well. And so we will use him to get out of the backfield, to catch the ball. He's obviously got to be able to catch the pitch reliably, so he's got to have decent hands in that regard. So, and this guy's going to be fast. You want him to obviously take the top off the defense and be able to, when he receives that pitch, score, because he should be just trying to break backside pursuit at that point. So that's our tailback. Our tight end, first, this guy needs to be an excellent blocker. Again, it's great if he's a blocker and a pass catcher, but he's really a blocker in our defense, and he's very critical in that regard. A good blocker and a good pass catcher is going to be huge for us, but if we have to, we're going to go with someone who's going to be blocked, because we are, again, a VEER team. We're a run-first team, and so we want to make sure that he is able to get to his assignment and to be able to block. Our X and our Z obviously need to be guys that also block as well. Our Z is typically going to be a little quicker because we have certain formations where we will put him in the backfield or kind of in a wing, a slot type position, and he can take Z counters for us is what we call it, and so he might run the ball a little bit. The X is going to be kind of a bigger, stronger receiver and go up and get balls, and we'll sometimes run sort of fly routes for him and different things of that nature. So from a personnel standpoint, that's what we're looking at. Next, I want to talk about the splits from our offensive line. So first, and kind of our alignment and how we have our fullback, tailback lineup, etc. So first, the splits from our offensive line. This needs to be 30 inches, guard to center, at all times. That will never change. We'll never have, with one exception, they'll change when we run a wedge type of a play where we're trying to QB sneak it. But that's the only exception. Every play we run is 30 inches. The reason we say it's 30 inches is very important because we want this fullback to run right at the crack of the guard. So we say run right at the butt crack of that guard. And that's never going to change. And so that's his track. And we need that track to be very consistent for the mesh point. So we say 30 inches for that guard, and our offensive line head coach or our offensive line coach has a 30-inch piece of wood that he'll put out there, and he'll put it between the 2 feet because we really need that to be extremely consistent. And so we say 30 inches every time. Then we look at our tackle splits. Those are going to vary depending on the play. But here's the basic guideline for VEER. It's not going to be any less than 2 feet, but it could go out a long ways. It could be several yards. It could be up to 3 yards or more. Just depends. And the principle is, if there is if there's someone in the B gap, if there's a defender already in the B gap, it's going to be shorter splits. If there's no one in the B gap right now, say a linebacker has the B gap or someone else, then it's going to be wider splits. And for example, if we have a 1 technique, I'll go ahead and put this here, and a 5 technique, we're going to want to have, this guy's going to want to have big splits, really big splits, because it's going to make it very difficult for this end to tackle the fullback. So we really like it when teams are in a 1 and a 5, and we can get those big splits out there, and it makes it easier read for our QB, and I think it works really well. So those are the splits there. The fullback is going to be, he's going to have his hand at 4 yards. That's going to change based on the play, but for VEER, he's going to have his hand at 4 yards. Our tailback is going to be at 5. Now our tailback is also, when the VEER comes around, he's going to maintain a 6-by-1 pitch relationship with the quarterback. So he's going to be 6 yards horizontally and 1 yard back. So if we have 1 yard here and 6 yards this way. So again, we're maintaining that relationship so one defender is not going to be able to take 2 people. So the quarterback, so the defender can't force a pitch from the quarterback and then go tackle the tailback. If they have that pitch relationship, that's very critical. All right. So I think that's it as far as personnel. And again, we talked about this being our base formation. Let's talk about this whole, our whole system and how we sort of run plays. Let's go ahead and erase this. Okay, so if we're on offense, the way that we call plays is we'll obviously do the formation first. We'll say the formation, then the play, and then the whole number where it's designed to go to. Now, our holes start with the higher numbers being inside, and I'm sure this is common amongst a lot of programs, but the larger numbers being inside, the smaller numbers being outside. Odd numbers to the left, even numbers to the right. So if we want to hit in the right A gap, that'll be an 8 play. Left A gap, a 7 play. Right B gap, a 6 play. Left B gap, a 5 play. If we want to go off tackle to the right, be 4, 3. Anything outside of that is a 2. Anything outside of this is a 1. Okay? So our staple play, our base play, again, that I'm talking about here, is VEER 5-6. So our VEER is going to attack this B gap right here, and we tell our offensive line we're attacking this B gap, and we're attacking 2 defenders, and we are trying to wall off everything this way. So if we have VEER 6, we're trying to wall off everything to the left of that with our offensive line. If we were doing VEER 5, obviously, we'd try to be walling off everything that way with our offensive line. So, VEER 5, VEER 6, they're attacking right in those B gaps. As I talked about earlier, right off of the crack of the guard. Okay, now I'm going to talk about the quick blocking assignments and talk through the quarterback footwork, the fullback, tailback track a little bit more, and go from there. So we'll talk about that for right now. So I'm gonna draw this up versus a 4-2 defense. Defense is very common defense in our league. We see it often. We also see 3-4 very commonly. But with VEER, we should be able to run that. Not sure why I wrote an 8 there. We should be able to run that versus any defense we see. Anything the defense throws at us, we should be able to make an adjustment. And our offensive line coach, Coach Basinski at Centennial here, he is the master at this, at figuring out how we want to block it and which defenders we want to isolate. And he is quite good at this. But I'll draw this up versus a 4-2 defense. So we'll put a VEER 6 versus a 4-2. Okay, so this is a typical alignment that we're going to see. We'll have, again, a 3 technique to our strength, to the tight end side. We'll have a nose, of course. We'll have our B gap here, B gap bubble here. That's very nice to attack. But we don't see a lot of too high safety coverage, with the exception of maybe a 3-4, where both safeties will come very tight. We typically see sort of a 1 high type of setup, and typically man coverage. A lot of teams might have defenses they like to run. They kind of throw them out the window when they play us, because our scheme is different than a lot of teams in our league. And so often it's just, hey, take your man, and we're going to bring up a bunch of guys to try to stop the VEER. So how we'll run this. So in our system, our tackles have to be very intelligent. They have to know, based on the defensive alignment, what kind of tackle call to make, and that tackle call is going to determine how we're going to block the play. So when we call VEER 6 or VEER 5, the blocking scheme could look completely different depending on what the defense is aligned in. It's still the same, obviously, basic play for these 3, but it could be completely different for the offensive line. And so the offensive line needs to know what these tackle calls are so they can block it appropriately. So versus a 3 technique, and there are several calls that we will do, but we'll start with the basics. We will call down here. And again, like I said before, if there's someone in the B gap, we are going to tighten our splits a little bit. So this is probably be about a 2-foot split. So our tackle would call down. It's the first call that we want to make. And what down means is he's going to go down, and this will be a double team between our guard and our tackle. Okay? The 2 defenders that we're going to read are this 7 technique and this outside linebacker. So when we read those, the quarterback, fullback, tailback, they all know, okay, we've got 3 guys for their 2. We're going to block everyone else. Okay? With down, these guys are going to double here. Once the guard takes over the block, the guard is trying to get to the outside hip of this 3 technique. Once he takes that over, and we try to practice this a lot because it's difficult. It's very much a feel-based thing. When he feels, that tackle feels he's able to take it over, he's going to come up to this mic, take a good angle, and we talk about hitting with the forearm, punch, and wheel. So we are going to not try to take him on, but we're going to take him on low. We're going to punch with our forearm, and we're going to hit with our forearm, punch the right shoulder pad, and try to wheel this linebacker in and make everyone run underneath blocks. If we make people run underneath blocks, that's going to be big points for us. So we want to make that mic run underneath blocks. So that's first. The tackle calls down. And versus a 3 technique, he knows it's going to be a double team. Again, what's beautiful about the VEER, and what's beautiful that we really like, is that the tackle he needs to see the defense, but he doesn't need to see a ton. He doesn't need to see this whole thing. He needs to see these guys right here. And he needs to see right in here, just these spots right here on the center, guard, and tackle. He needs to see if there's a nose or not, and then he makes his calls from there. But if he sees a 3 and a 5 and no nose, he knows I can call down. So he calls down, we get this. Now the tight end's also paying attention. The tight end is listening to the call. If the call has an S term in it, that tends to be him being involved in the blocking scheme. But if it does not, he is what's called VEER release. And so VEER release means the tight end is going to block for pitch. And when we say block for pitch, that means when a defense is trying to defend the VEER, they're going to assign people to the dive, they're going to assign people to the quarterback, and they're going to assign people to the pitch. And so we're telling the tight end, go find whoever is going to the pitch and blocking. So he will veer release, and he will take 3 steps laterally. The 3 steps laterally are to, he's going to keep his shoulders square. He's going to keep his shoulders square to the line of scrimmage, and to see that defense. The 3 steps are to find out who's declaring to pitch. In this defense, often this will be the pitch guy. But sometimes they'll switch it up. This will be a quarterback guy who's coming here now, and the free safety will come to pitch. But often in this defense, that'll be the pitch guy. So he's going to open up. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, keeping his shoulders square, seeing whoever declares for pitch, and then he's going to take that guy, and he's going to take him where he wants to go. If he wants to go outside, he's going to work him as far as he can outside. If he wants to come inside, we'll work him as far as he can inside. So, the tight end's rule is veer release. Okay? Backside, our offensive line. If you're not involved on the play side, which is, for us, is the right side, you're what's called tail protection. Okay? So, the way that we like to coach this is when you're taking your steps, we have our veer steps. Your first step is going to be a 6x6 step. And at 6x6, we mean 6 inches laterally and 6 inches vertically. That's going to take our 6x6 step, and we're going to remain on that track. So it's approximately a 45-degree angle from where you're standing in your stance. And I like to say you're on railroad tracks. When you're a train on a railroad, you're not able to steer and come off the tracks. You're stuck on that track. Wherever that track goes is where you're going to go. And that's exactly how we want to coach it. So this center, he's going to take his 6x6 and run. He's not going to go chase. If this guy is able to make it over the top, which he typically is, it's going to be a fast flow play, he is not going to chase him. He's going to come back and cut off, had him get off of his track there right after I did that whole thing about railroads. But he's going to be here, and if this Will is coming, he's going to cut him off. This guard is going to get to that hip of the nose. He's got to be quick. He's got to take his steps fast and get there. This tackle, again, tail protection. He's going to take his 45 track, cut off either this weak safety or whoever may show up. He's going to go find work there. Okay? Receivers. To play side, our receiver is going to have a mirror block. That means you're going to take the nearest defensive back and you're going to mirror him and take him whichever way he wants to go. Our backside receiver is going to have a slice block, which means he's going to go here and either cut off the corner or potentially get over and cut off that free safety. Very important. Our receivers have to be very active in blocking. It's very important. It makes the difference between a 10-yard gain and a touchdown. If we read it right, we should be able to get a solid gain every time. If we block our corners, we should be able to have huge plays. So that's very important. So now to a very important part. So again, we talked about this is a down call. These two are being read. The quarterback, his footwork, he's going to take the snap from under center. He's going to open up, and if you're envisioning a clock, he's going to open up to 4 o'clock on a clock. He's going to take his sort of a jump step back there, and he's actually going to be on, you're not able to see my feet here, but he's going to be on one foot. He's going to be on his back foot. He's going to extend his arms, and he's going to ride. And as he's riding this fullback, again, that fullback's track is right at that crack of his butt. Right at the crack there. So as he is doing this, as he's riding, he's reading this defensive end. His read is very simple, and this is exactly how we coach it. Does the end tackle the fullback or not? If he tackles the fullback, it's a pull. If he does not tackle the fullback, it's a give. And so he's riding on that back foot, and as he comes forward, he's going to get on his front foot, and he's almost on one foot. He's on one foot as he's riding. And we want them to get a long ride as possible. And kind of what that does is you can sort of bait this defender into tackling the fullback, but you can get a very clear read of exactly what they're trying to do. So if this guy's a dive guy, he's going to tackle him fast and hard typically. If he's not, he's going to step up, and that'll be a give. But again, did he tackle him or not? That's all we're looking for. If he didn't tackle him, give it and go. Important thing about from this fullback, again, on his track, it's right at that crack of the guard. Fullbacks sometimes have a problem with this, and this can kill the play. The fullback needs to come right off of this down block. Okay? Or, depending on how the block sets up differently, but he wants to come right off of that down block. That should be right on that track as well. You do not want to have this fullback cut this back in. Okay? We are all trying to seal off B-gap this way. If he cuts that back in, all the defenders are in there. It's off this down block and run. Guys, if you have the right personnel, guys will score. They can score off of this. And this schematically, he's a one-on-one versus the safety if we get all of our stuff done right. And so that can be a very huge play for the fullback there. Okay, he's coming right off of that down block. Okay, again, our tailback, of course, he is in a 6x6 relationship, or a 6x1, excuse me. And so he's going to maintain that pitch relationship, but he's going to sort of be on a track, and the track sort of looks like this. And his track, he's not going to try to maintain that 6x1. He's going to be in that 6x1 relationship as the play works out, but he's not going to try to duck in to be right next to him. The quarterback will need to be the one who will work out to him. So again, let me explain that. So our quarterback, let's say he gets a pull read and he decides to attack this way. He's not going to pitch right there to that guy, assuming the tailback's going to be there. The tailback is on his normal pitch relationship. He's going to need to work out back to that tailback to then pitch it to him. We always work on every single play, every rep that we do this. If it's a keep option for the quarterback, we always have them, whether it's the right read or not, to work on working it out down the field. Because we can work this out way down the field as well. If the quarterback gets to a one-on-one versus the free safety, he can still work this out to the tailback. He knows he's still going to be there. So we always do that. Now, again, like I talked about, getting on that front foot with the quarterback and coming downhill, some VEER teams you may have seen tend to work this sort of down the line and then pitch with their quarterback. We don't want to do that. We want to get that ride onto that front foot, and if it's a pull read, we want that to be downhill right now. So let's say this fullback is tackled by that end. We really want him, this quarterback, who will be about here by now, to attack there fast. And again, that's why we like having this guy being a good athlete. We want him to run downhill quickly and fast. So that's the basics of the VEER. We think that this is a great play for us. We think that this is an excellent base play for us. And if we do it right, if we run it right, we feel like it's very, very difficult to stop. We feel like you have to have far superior personnel to beat us in that. And obviously, we still get beat occasionally, but we think that this is a very superior scheme. Thanks for watching. I hope to come out with some more videos and things of that nature. I hope to get involved in this community. And again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.